Hello, happy Tuesday, happy coffee chat. I am excited for today. Unfortunately, I am out of coffee already this morning and I've been trying to limit my caffeine intake. So, I have a cute mug, but today's beverage is going to be water, and we are talking all about nutrition this week, which has been a hot topic. Well, I feel like it's always a hot topic, but it has been really, really big in my DMs recently because I started a new workout program, recommitted to my health and feeling my best, and also going back through one of the nutrition programs I follow. So I figured it'd be really helpful to answer all of the questions I got in my DMs because there were a lot of them asking, should I be tracking macros? Should I be focusing on calories? How do I stop overeating at night? What do I really need to focus on? Do I need to have supplements? There were so many questions. So I'm going to try to answer them all. And if you have any questions while we are chatting today, feel free to drop them in the comments, send me a DM if you're watching the recording later on or on YouTube. Feel free to ask me whenever you are watching this. But before we dive into all of the questions, I wanted to give a very basic overview of nutrition. And I want to put a little disclaimer here. I am not a registered dietitian. I am also not giving personalized nutrition advice here because obviously this is live, and I do that for my one-on-one clients because I do have a background in nutrition and exercise science. I have a bachelor's degree from college in both of those, so I know a thing or two. I've also been a health coach for the past 3 years, but again, nutrition is very specialized per person and it's different for everybody, so this is general advice. Take what you love, leave what you don't, see what works for your body, and it's not going to be the same for everybody. So this is not a set in stone thing. This is what I found on my own journey and working with dozens and dozens of ladies, and also what I've learned throughout my nutrition degree. So when it comes to nutrition, I believe there are 4 things or 4 food groups you really need to focus on. And these are not macros. These are not the typical food pyramid or food plate or whatever they're using these days. This is the 4 things that I really focus on. So the first thing, number 1, is veggies. Nobody is going to argue with me that vegetables are good for you. They're full of vitamins and minerals and fiber and water and all of these good things for your body. Many diets, no matter what diet book you're reading, which I don't believe in diets whatsoever, but no matter what diet book you're reading, they all say vegetables. So I think everyone can agree they're super, super good for you. And I focus on making vegetables the base or the star of every meal that I eat. So for example, breakfast, maybe I'd have a veggie omelet, or I would have one of my shakes with a bunch of spinach or kale in it. And then for dinner, I have zoodles or spaghetti squash, or what else do I love? Cauliflower rice and using it in stir fry, or burrito bowls. I try to make vegetables the biggest part of my meal because they are a high volume food. So, you can eat a 10 cups of cauliflower rice and it's under 200 calories. And I don't count calories either, but a lot of people go by it. But that's what I mean by it's a high volume food. You can eat a lot of it and it's going to help fill you up. Hey Jessica, thanks for hopping on. So that's the first thing. Veggies most. Eat as many veggies as you can, eat as much veggies as you want, and find vegetables that you love. The second food group that I really focus on is proteins, because they help keep you full longer because it takes your body time to break them down. And also proteins help rebuild your muscles. It helps you get stronger. And again, most diets focus around proteins. Nobody's gonna argue that proteins aren't healthy for you. When it comes to protein, there's leaner proteins like your chicken and your fish and turkey and basically any poultry. And then there's your fattier proteins like your beef and steak and ground beef and hamburgers. So it really depends on what your goals are and really what you prefer. If you love chicken, eat it. If you don't like chicken, don't be shoving it down your mouth because you think it's healthier. Whatever you enjoy eating is going to be best for you. And obviously this doesn't count if you have an allergic reaction or intolerance to something, but if you love a certain food, eat that. It's going to serve you way better energetically than eating a food that you hate trying to get results so you love yourself, which we'll talk about the mindset behind all this in a minute. So that's the second thing I focus on, protein. And that's something, again, I have at every single meal and every single snack. The third one is fiber-filled carbohydrates. So carbohydrates is a really broad category that covers everything from cereal and bread and pasta to fruit and certain vegetables like squash and potatoes, which are a little bit starchier. And there's a really big difference between carbohydrates in alcohol and carbohydrate in an apple. So for example, when I say fiber-filled carbohydrates, you are looking for things with high fiber, obviously. So your fruits and not fruit juices. Fruit juice does not have fiber in it, but fruits and beans and whole wheat carbs. The reason you want fiber in it is because one, it's really good for your digestion. It's really good for your heart health. It's really good for basically overall health. Fiber is awesome for you. But carbohydrates break down into your body into sugar, which give you energy. If you have a bunch of sugar, a bunch of carbohydrates without any fiber in it, it gets into your bloodstream really fast. You digest it really quickly. You have this sugar rush and then you crash. The fiber helps slow the absorption of the sugar so that way you get a steady release of energy over time. You may have noticed that if you have a piece of candy or a lot of candy, you get a sugar rush. Maybe that happened to you on Halloween this past weekend. But if you have a piece of fruit, because of that fiber, you don't get the exact rush. You still get a little bit of an energy boost, but you don't get a sugar rush and then a crash. So you want to focus on fiber-filled carbs. And I try to have most of my carbs in the morning, in the afternoon, because like I said, they're there to give you energy. I don't want a bunch of energy right before I'm about to go to bed. So I focus on carbs in the morning and afternoon mostly, but that doesn't mean that I can't have a piece of fruit at 10 o'clock at night if I want some freaking grapes. I cannot stand the people who tell you can't have fruit after a certain time because it's going to make you fat. That is a lie from the devil. You can eat fruit whenever you want, but just be aware that carbohydrates turn into sugar. They give you energy. If you have a bunch of fruit at night, you're going to have some sugar in your system. It may make it a little bit harder to sleep. And then the last food group I always focus on, number 4, is what I like to call accessories. These are the things that you add to your meals to make them delicious, like salsa and guacamole and dressings and mustard and ketchup and soy sauce and peanut butter and all these little condiments that you add on to things. And I call them accessories because just like a necklace or a tie, it's a little, but it makes a big impact and you don't need a lot of it. So a lot of people, this is a huge debate in the health world these days, is fat good for you or fat bad for you? Should you be eating a lot of fat to lose weight? Should you be following keto? Should you be following more of a plant-based, lower carb diet? Again, it's different for everybody. I find personally that my body works best when I have a really good balance of carbs, proteins, and veggies, and a little bit of fat. That's just how my body operates. Some people do a lot better with high fat things, but that's why I don't consider fat its own food group in terms of the way that I eat and what I teach my clients and what I've learned, because it's more so an accessory that I like to add onto things versus this whole thing in itself that I'm trying to get at every single meal. So most meals have some type of fat in it, whether it's, like for example, this morning for breakfast, I had toast with banana and peanut butter. Peanut butter is an accessory. Many people consider it a fat. Maybe you have avocado toast or guacamole or a handful of nuts. These are all really healthy things for you, but you have to remember that fats have a lot of energy. They're really dense and they're very easy to eat too much of, especially if you were trying to lose weight, which I never really focus on weight loss. I love to happen naturally as I'm fueling my body properly and in alignment with my highest self. But if you are trying to lose weight for health reasons, fats are really high in calories and they're really easy to overeat, like I said. So it's best to use them as an accessory. Again, this is what I've learned for myself after years of experience and going through college and working with dozens of clients. It is different for everybody, and this is not a debate on which diet is the best diet because it's going to be different for every person. But now that you understand the 4 food groups, we can start talking about all of these things like, how do I stop overeating at night? And should I be tracking calories and macros and all of that? And a lot of people, when it comes to diets, think that the key is tracking obsessively. And they count every single calorie and count every macro and weigh every single ounce of food that they're about to put in their mouth. And I don't recommend that, which a lot of people find shocking, but I do not recommend tracking to that obsessive side because it starts to become a numbers game and you are using external factors to determine how to be healthy instead of listening to your body. Because the thing is, our bodies are not machines. We need different amounts of energy every single day. We need different amounts of carbohydrates and proteins and fat depending on what you do every single day. So setting to a strict of, this is how many calories I'm going to eat. This is the exact macro breakdown I'm going to have every single day. It'll probably work most days. But then you're going to have days where you need more protein because you did a really heavy lifting workout. There's going to be days where you don't need to eat as much because you were relaxing on the couch all day and didn't get that movement. There's going to be days where you go on a 4-hour hike and you're going to need more energy. So I don't love tracking calories and macros and using external cues like that. I prefer to listen to my body. So one way that I do that is I track what I eat, not how much I eat. So for example, I have a little tracking book that I use, and you'll see inside, let me find a blank page. You'll see inside that it just goes blah, blah, blah. That one's not blank either. I've used this book a lot. Okay, cool. So the tracking that I do, it simply says breakfast, lunch, snack, dinner, and then I match what I eat to those plates in terms of percentages in those 4 food groups we talk about. But it doesn't say calories, it doesn't say macros anywhere. And the reason I track what I eat is so that way I can start listening to my body and figuring out what foods work best for me. So for example, if I were to write down this morning that I had pancakes and eggs and whatever for breakfast, and then I notice halfway through the day I'm really hungry, or I'm really tired, or maybe I'm really bloated, I can then go back and look at my tracker and say, I don't feel great. I wonder what that was. And I can start playing around and switching up my breakfast to see what foods agree with me and what foods don't. Like I said, health is different for every single person. So the best way to figure out what works best for you is to start tracking it. And like I said, all I do is write down what I eat and kind of in terms of portions. So I'll say a slice of bread or a packet of oatmeal or 2 eggs. But I'm not going to measure out every single one. I have no idea how many calories I eat a day. No idea what my macro breakdown is. Macros are kind of covered in the percentages by the plates, which I get really depth into with my clients. But simply just writing down what you eat and then being in tune with your body and saying, I have a lot of energy. I feel really good today. Or, man, I'm really sore after my workout. I don't think I'm eating enough protein. You can go back and look at what you ate the past couple days and figure out what's up with it. So that is how I track. That's how I recommend tracking to my clients. I don't believe in calorie counting. I don't believe in macro counting. After struggling with orthorexia, I know how easy it is to go to the obsessive side and have it become a problem. So I usually don't recommend any type of tracking other than simply writing down, this is what I ate today, and bam, done. And same thing, I track other little things in this book that I track are how much water I drink a day, because water is the bomb.com. Hydration is sexy. More water is always a good idea. I track my water, how much I sleep, and what workout I did. And that's all I track, as well as just being in tune with, okay, I feel bloated. Maybe that ice cream I had last night wasn't the best idea, and just starting to learn what my body likes. And the last, big question that I got, I think I've covered most of the ones that were in my inbox this week, but the last one that I got was, how do I stop overeating at night? And the thing that I've noticed personally in my own journey when it comes to overeating at night, and in the ladies that I work with, is usually overeating at night isn't binge eating disorder. It's not emotional eating. Sometimes it is. But a lot of the time, it's simply we're in this restrictive mindset all day long. If you're following a diet, you're not eating as much as you need to be eating. And then at the end of the day, your body's like, hey, Tara, we didn't eat enough. I am starving. Let's eat whatever we can find. And then you start grabbing whatever's in the pantry that you see first. So before you start worrying about, oh my gosh, I need to work on my emotional eating, I like making a huge thing out of this, track what you eat throughout the day and see if you are eating enough food. Sometimes it's your body simply saying, you are hungry, you need more energy, and it's trying to compensate before you go to bed by getting you more food in. So it's not always in terms of emotional eating. Sometimes it's simply you don't eat enough throughout the day. And if it is emotional eating, I want you to look at, what emotion am I feeling right before I start eating? What emotion am I feeling right now in this moment? And then once you identify that, you can start to heal it. And always remember that if you are struggling with emotional eating, one, reach out for help. You are not alone. It happens to way more people than you could even imagine. But also, don't be afraid to look at the emotion. A lot of the times we try to use food, or people use alcohol or drugs or sex or whatever it is to cope, with the emotion they don't want to deal with. So even if you're not ready to heal from that and look at that, or maybe if you need a therapist to help you look at whatever that emotion is that you need to heal, that story you're telling yourself, even if you're not ready to heal that, you can find a better coping mechanism that will actually make you feel better. Because usually if you overeat at night and, eat a ton of whatever it is, the next day you feel guilty, you feel a little bit of shame, and that's not a vibration you want in your body. So find a different way to cope. Maybe for one of the things that I did back when I was struggling with depression and still do to this day to cope with negative emotions or stress is coloring. They make tons of adult coloring books. I just open and start coloring while I have TV on in the background, or a course or a podcast or whatever it is. Some people turn to yoga, other people turn to fitness, some people are into knitting, some people play instruments. It's simply a matter of finding something else to do at night instead of emotionally eat. Or even some people just fall into this habit of after dinner, we turn on the TV, watch a movie, and we just eat and eat and eat. And that's our habit every single night. So overeating at night, it could just be that you need to eat more throughout the day. Maybe you're struggling with emotional eating and need to heal from whatever that is and identify the emotion and work with a therapist. Or maybe it's just a bad habit you need to break and find a better habit. Start coloring, start learning an instrument, start taking your dog for a walk at night. Break the cycle. Find something else to do with your time that's going to help you de-stress the same way you've been using food. And I believe that was all of the questions I got in my inbox. And if you have another one that I did not answer about nutrition, I am more than happy to chat. Just send me a DM over on my Instagram. And if you need more personalized help, I do have one-on-one coaching as well as group coaching. And my course, Elevate Yourself in Health, which gets all into the energetics of food and health and the mindset of it and how to manifest a healthier body and, your dream body without the work, which I know sounds crazy to some people, but all of those things are available in my bio if you are interested. And again, if you have any questions, send me a DM. I'm more than happy to chat, and I will see you next Tuesday for a coffee chat.